In the pantheon of Norse mythology, few figures shone as brightly as Baldr. He was the embodiment of joy and light, beloved by gods and mortals alike. But how could such a revered deity be slain? And what was the seemingly harmless thing that caused the death of Baldr? Join us as we delve into the tragic tale of Baldr's demise, a story that continues to resonate with its themes of loss, deceit, and the inevitability of fate. The death of Baldr is one of the saddest myths in all of Norse mythology. It tells a cautionary tale about trusting Loki, the tricksy god of mischief and his vile tricks. In this video, I will tell the story of the death of Baldr and how he became the first of the Aesir to die in the events leading up to Ragnarok. This is the death of Baldr. For over a year, Baldr had been plagued by ominous dreams, visions of his own funeral pyre, the flickering flames dancing around him as the gods and the giants mourned his passing. These unsettling premonitions filled him with dread, whispering tales of a fate he couldn't comprehend. To shield her son from this foretold doom, Frigg, Baldr's mother and the goddess of motherhood, went about her task with unwavering determination. She traveled far and wide, visiting every creature great and small, each plant and stone, and even the mighty gods of Asgard, compelling them to swear oaths of protection, promising to safeguard Baldr from any harm. Asgard, home of the gods, was transformed into a sanctuary, a fortress of safety under the watchful eyes of the divine. No danger was to set foot within its hallowed realms, or so they thought. In their quest to ensure Baldr's safety, the gods overlooked one crucial detail: a small, insignificant mistletoe growing outside the lofty halls of Asgard. Unbeknownst to them, this unassuming plant would be the catalyst for the tragedy that was to unfold. Meanwhile, Loki, the god of mischief, watched these events unfold with amusement, a sly smile playing on his lips. His keen eyes missed nothing, not the fear in Baldr's eyes, nor the desperation in Frigg's voice. He knew that Baldr's fate lay in the balance, and he saw an opportunity to tip the scales in his favor. So, while the gods were preoccupied with protecting Baldr, Loki hatched a wicked plan, one that would exploit the very oath they had taken and bring about the downfall of the shining god. As days turned into weeks and the protective measures seemed to offer Baldr sanctuary, Loki grew impatient. He knew that time was of the essence, and that soon the veil between Baldr's dreams and reality would become blurred beyond repair. With a determined glint in his eye, he set his plan into motion. The first step was to acquire the mistletoe, the one plant that Frigga's protective spells had inadvertently left untouched. With the mistletoe secured, Loki set to work crafting a weapon of deception. Using his vast knowledge of herbs and poisons, he created a sharp dart, imbuing it with the power of the mistletoe. This was no ordinary dart. It was a conduit of pain, designed to pierce the very essence of Baldr's being. Having crafted his deadly weapon, Loki sought out Hodr, Baldr's blind brother. Mischief was Loki's specialty, but Hodr was a figure of innocence, a being whose life had been shrouded in darkness. Loki knew that Hodr's purity of heart made him susceptible to manipulation, and he set about weaving a web of deception around the unsuspecting god. As Hodr stood in the courtyard, guided only by his other senses, Loki approached him, his voice dripping with false concern. He spoke of Baldr's recent dreams, of the forebodings that haunted the young god's sleep. Then he laid his hand on Hodr's shoulder and whispered his wicked plan. If Hodr could prove his bravery, if he could show himself to be a true hero among the gods, then there was a way to end Baldr's torment. All Hodr needed to do was to throw the dart at Baldr, and with that simple act, put an end to his brother's suffering. Loki painted a picture of Baldr's relief, of the gratitude that would shine in Baldr's eyes as he took his final breath. The image was so compelling that Hodr, eager to prove himself and motivated by a love for his brother, fell for Loki's trap. Unbeknownst to him, he had been ensnared by the god of deceit. When Loki had crafted the dart, he had infused it with the power of the mistletoe, and when Hodr let it fly, it was no longer a mere projectile, but a harbinger of doom. It raced through the air, finding its mark with deadly precision, and as it pierced Baldr's chest, the protective spells woven by Frigg dissipated like smoke in the wind. For the mistletoe, the one plant that had remained outside the sanctity of Asgard, had rendered all their efforts in vain. The assembled gods watched in horror as Baldr collapsed. Their oaths had been betrayed, their precautions ignored, and now their beloved companion lay dying before them. In that moment of devastation, the weight of their collective failure pressed down on them. Each god grappled with the realization that their hubris and oversight had led to this tragic moment. Baldr, the embodiment of joy, had been felled by a weapon forged from the very thing they had overlooked. Amidst the unfolding tragedy, Frigg found herself consumed by guilt and despair. Her protective instincts had failed her son. The foresight that had shielded Baldr from countless perils had blinded her to the danger posed by the humble mistletoe. Now, faced with the prospect of losing her son, she desperately sought to undo the damage that had been done. But as the searing pain of betrayal and anguish coursed through her, she realized that some wounds run deeper than any shield could protect. In the face of the Baldr's imminent demise, the gods were seized by panic. They knew that their comrade's passing was more than just a personal loss. It was a harbinger of the approaching doom of Asgard. Baldr's death was the first domino in the chain of events leading to Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods. Fear and despair began to grip the halls of Asgard. The normally boisterous laughter of the gods was replaced by somber whispers. The mead halls, once brimming with mirth and merriment, stood empty and silent. Even Thor, the mighty god of thunder, whose strength was unmatched, found himself succumbing to the suffocating grip of despair. His heavy steps echoed through the empty halls, a testament to the crushing weight of sorrow that had descended upon Asgard. In their shared grief, the gods reached out to each other for solace, finding temporary comfort in their unity of loss. But beneath the surface, fear festered. They knew that the death of Baldr was not an isolated tragedy, but the opening salvo in a battle they were destined to lose. The news of Baldr's impending death spread like wildfire, reaching even the ears of Hel, the goddess who ruled the underworld. Moved by the gods' sorrow and perhaps sensing an opportunity to sway the balance of power, Hel offered a glimmer of hope. She proposed a daring plan. If the gods could bring Baldr back from the dead, if they could defy the natural order and cheat death itself, then he could live again. Hope, however, was a luxury the gods could ill afford, for the cost of Baldr's return was staggering. It required a sacrifice, a soul of equal value to Baldr's to be given in exchange. And in the face of such a demand, no god was willing to step forward. They were left grappling with the harsh reality that Baldr's light was fading, and with it, the hope for Asgard's future was dimming as well. The depth of the gods' despair was palpable. The usually vibrant hall of Valhalla was draped in somber hues of gray, mirroring the bleakness in their hearts. Even Thor, known for his indomitable spirit, found himself shaken to his core. The loss of Baldr had stripped away some of his bravado, leaving him raw with grief. Yet, despite the overwhelming sorrow, there was a glimmer of defiance in Thor's eyes. In his gut, he knew that sacrificing another innocent soul, even for the greater good, was a path they shouldn't tread. Instead, he rallied the gods, urging them to confront the inevitable. Thor's call to action resonated with some of the gods, reminding them that although the future looked bleak, they were the Aesir, the epitome of strength and resilience. There was a stoicism, a dignity in accepting their fate, in facing Ragnarok head-on. Yet their defiance was laced with sorrow. For them, the death of Baldr wasn't just a prelude to an inevitable doom, it was the shattering of a dream, the death of innocence. It symbolized the brutal reality of their existence, a stark reminder that even the brightest light can be snuffed out by the cruelest twist of fate. But for now, I bid you farewell. Until next time, may your days be filled with sunshine, and may your nights be starlit and calm.